Hey guys, welcome to 5 Things Wednesday. In this series, I will be sharing 5 things that you need to know before visiting certain places that I've been to. I'm just trying to share my wisdom. If you like these types of videos, please hit subscribe and tick the little bell so that you never miss a video. This is going to be a series that I am posting about every Wednesday. I'm so excited. In this week's episode, we're going to be talking about Big Bend National Park. I love it so much. I can't wait to tell you guys more about it. So let's go. Now, if you've been following me on Instagram, shameless plug, this is my Instagram, go check it out. You will know that I went to Big Bend National Park last year and I absolutely fell in love with it. I do not understand how it is one of the least visited parks in the US because it has something for everybody. It is so gorgeous. It is not at all like I expected it to be. I thought that it would be this vast desert landscape, and while there is some of that, the Chisos Mountains are just stunning. I felt like I was in Jurassic Park in Hawaii somewhere. It was just absolutely stunning. But let's just jump into it. 5 things that you need to know before you visit Big Bend National Park. Number 1, there are 3 campsites in Big Bend National Park, and they are all really far apart, but more on that later. You have the Chisos Basin Campground, which is up in the Chisos Mountains. This is the most popular campground. And then you have Cottonwood Campground, which is down by the Santa Elena Canyon. And then you have Rio Grande Village Campground, which is over by the Boquillas River crossing. Big Bend also has one lodge up in the Chisos Mountains right next to the campground. Big Bend also does have several primitive campsites. You just need to get a backcountry permit before you can use these. And I would highly recommend that you make reservations to any of the campgrounds if you can beforehand, especially Chisos Basin. It is so busy. We made the mistake when we went that we did not make reservations beforehand, and we showed up really early and still did not find a campsite. Now, one little thing that I will tell you is you can reserve group sites year-round, but they require you to have a certain number of people. Now, a little birdie told me that they don't check on this as much as they say that they do online. So we had 8 people. I think they required 10 or 12 people. And the guy that I talked to told me we totally could have booked one of these. They don't really check on that kind of thing, but I'm a rule follower. I did not know that. So we actually ended up staying in Cottonwood Campground. So Chisos Basin Campground and Rio Grande Village Campground, they have reservations that you can make online through National Park Service website from November 15th to April 15th for Rio Grande, and November 15th through May 31st for Chisos Basin Campground. So if you're going in that time of year, definitely make sure you make a reservation online and you will be good to go. Point number 2 is cell phone service or lack of cell phone service. The only 2 places that you're kind of guaranteed to have cell phone service is at the visitor center at Panther Junction, and then up at the Chisos Mountain Campground or lodge area, there is actually like a convenience store, and because the lodge is up there, I think they even have like Wi-Fi that you can access, but everywhere else in the park, just don't depend on your phone. So one thing that I would definitely recommend is have some emergency numbers already kind of printed out so that you're not trying to rely on the internet to, you know, look for a phone number in the case of an emergency. Because we actually got into a situation where we had to find a hotel at 10:30 at night, and we were driving around like maniacs trying to get to a spot where we had cell phone service so that we could Google the number of a hotel, and we were in a time crunch. It was just kind of a shit show. So don't do what I did and have some numbers ahead of time. Tip number 3 is do some research on monsoon season, and I will get into why in a little bit, but Big Bend National Park is notorious for its kind of weather changes, and I think that is because of the mountains that are within the park. You know, there can be days where it's 110 and a storm blows through, and then all of a sudden it's in the 70s. So kind of pack accordingly. And the other thing is we went for Labor Day, and we were kind of at the tail end of monsoon season. So monsoon season is from mid-June to October. And I think the heaviest rains are typically in July. So if you're going in that time period, just be aware. We kind of made an amateur mistake, and at Cottonwood Campgrounds, where there's a huge sign at the front that says Campground May Flood, which I don't know how we all ignored this sign or like didn't pay attention to it, but we set up our tents in the grass, and the grass kind of is down a little bit from where the pavement is. And because of this, a storm rolled in at night, it started raining, and our tents flooded. Yes, that's right. We flooded at Big Bend. So that left us with nowhere to sleep except for in our cars, unless we could find a hotel to stay at in the middle of the night. So that's why I say have those emergency numbers. Looking back in hindsight, I think that if we had set up our tents on the paved area, which looking around, most other people did, we probably would have been okay. Like we probably would have had some water in our tents, but it wouldn't have been like flooded, because my cousin's sleeping bags and pillows, everything was soaking wet. They actually had to throw it in the trash. Like it wasn't salvageable anymore. And it was just kind of a pain in the ass and took a lot of time to clean up. So pay attention to the weather, guys. They don't mess around down there. Tip number 4 is distant. Everything in this park is really far apart. And looking at the map, it kind of tricks you, because the other thing that you need to take into consideration is these roads are windy, and if you're going up into the mountains, you can't drive as fast as you can on a straight surface. The other thing is the park rangers are notorious for passing out speeding tickets. They don't mess around within the park, so be aware of that. Now, in case you don't know, Big Bend National Park is more than 800,000 acres. Let that sink in, 800,000 acres. So if you're coming into the park and you see Panther Junction, which is, you know, the main visitor center, and then it kind of splits off into a Y. From there, to get up into the Chisos Mountains, it's like another 20-25 minute drive. To get to the Rio Grande Village on the other side is about a 30-minute drive. Now, if you're trying to go to Terlingua, let's say, because you want to go and see the ghost town, as most people do, from Terlingua back into the Chisos Basin, it's 33 miles, but it takes 50 minutes to get there. And from Santa Elena Canyon, which is by the Cottonwood Campground where we stayed, it is 47 miles and an hour and 15 minutes to get back into the Chisos Basin. So just keep that in mind when you're picking out where you're going to spend the night while you're there, and just plan accordingly. We spent a lot more time driving from point A to point B, and then we flooded and we had to drive and all the back and the forth. We just spent a lot more time on the road than we thought we would, because you're looking at these places on a map and they're all within the same park. So you're thinking, they're not that far apart. Yeah, that's wrong. Super far apart. So while it is possible to spend just a weekend in Big Bend National Park, you just need to be strategic with, you know, where you're going on what days and where you're spending the night. Last but not least, tip number 5. We're gonna call this part Lions and Tigers and Bears, oh my. Or more fittingly for Big Bend National Park, we're gonna call this Mountain Lions, Tarantulas, Mexican Black Bears, oh my. So, welcome to Texas. I didn't know we had bears in Texas, but we do. And we also have mountain lions apparently, which I knew we kind of did, but I've never seen one. But you know, this is just something that you need to be aware of. All the campsites have bear lockers, and they have bear lockers for a reason. So day 2 in the park, imagine our surprise. We're driving through Chisos Basin, and all of a sudden there are bears in the road. Bears in the road. There was a mama bear and a baby bear that crossed in front of the road and then crossed back, and then they were up in the tree and we were watching them. We're like, what do we do? Oh my God, are they gonna eat us? So I'm saying this tentatively because I do not know, but I wanna say that the bears are so used to the people and scavenging for food around the campgrounds that they're, I don't wanna say friendly, that's a dumb thing to say, but I don't think they're gonna go out and attack you. That was not the feeling that I got talking to people. Mountain lions, on the other hand, don't, with a mountain lion. That scares the crap out of me. Did not see any, but I know that they are there. So just, you know, kind of do your research, be aware. If you're traveling with small kids, keep them near you, especially when you're up on Lost Mine Trail and some of these mountainous hikes in the park. Just be aware because they're definitely out there. The other thing is, you know, snakes and tarantulas, super common for that part of Texas. We did see both of those things, thankfully, kind of from a distance. The other thing is scorpions. Had a fun little encounter when we had to spend the night in that hotel that one night. Stepped on a scorpion in the bathroom in the hotel. Thank God, did not get stung, but they're there. But just, you know, if you're not from Texas or the South or places where these things are prevalent, just keep it in mind, do some research, wear shoes in the hotel room apparently, and oh, shake out your boots. This is like a thing that I learned from my family in Arizona is before you put your shoes back on, shake them out. Make sure there's no spiders or scorpions that have climbed inside your shoe in the night so that you don't like pull a shoe on a scorpion. All right guys, that's it for my 5 tips for visiting Big Bend National Park. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I will see you in my next video. Bye.